Good morning, children. Welcome back to the biology classes for class 12. From our last video, we have started chapter 5, that is principles of inheritance and variation. Today we will continue the same chapter. In our last video, the last topic which we have studied was monohybrid cross, in which you have studied about how the cross is being done, why it is called monohybrid cross, because only the single character is being selected, about the genotype, about the phenotype, and the genotype and phenotypic ratios. Now, we will study about Mendel's observation on experiments. In F1 generation, Mendel found that all pea plants were tall and none were dwarf. He also observed other pair of traits and found that F1 plant always resembled either one of its parent and the trait of other parent was not found. In F2 generation, he found that some of the offsprings were dwarf, that is, the character were not seen in F1 generation were expressed in F2 generation. The proportion of plants that were dwarf was 1/4 of the F2 plants, while 3/4 of the F2 plants were tall. These contrasting traits, tall and dwarf, did not show any mixing either in F1 or in F2 generation, as none were of intermediate height. Similar results were obtained with the other traits that he studied. Only one of the parental traits was expressed in F1 generation, while at F2 generation stage, both the traits were expressed in the ratio 3:1. Mendel also found identical results in dihybrid cross as in monohybrid cross. Now let us study about the inferences of Mendel. Certain inferences were made by Mendel based on his observations. First was, he proposed that some factors passed down from parent to offspring through the gametes over successive generations. Nowadays, these factors are known as genes. Genes are hence the units of inheritance. Genes which code for a pair of contrasting traits are known as allelic or allelomorph, that is, they are slightly different from each other. Then, allele can be similar in case of homozygous, that is capital T or small t, and dissimilar in heterozygous, that is capital T, small t. Genes occur in pair, in which one dominates the other, called the dominant factor or the gene, which expresses itself while the other remains hidden and is called recessive gene. In a true breeding tall or dwarf pea variety, the allelic pair of genes for height are identical or homozygous. Capital T or small t are called genotype of the plant, while the term tall and dwarf are the phenotype. When tall and dwarf plant produce gametes by process of meiosis, the alleles of the parental pair segregate and only one of the allele gets transmitted to a gamete. Thus, there is only 50% chance of a gamete containing either allele, as the segregation is a random process. During fertilization, the two alleles, capital T from one parental gamete and small t from another parent, are united to form a zygote that has one capital T and another small t allele, or the hybrids have capital T small t. Since these hybrids contain alleles which express contrasting traits, the plant is called heterozygous. This is about the 14 chromosomes in a root cell of a pea plant as seen with a confocal scanning laser microscopy. This is about phenotype, genotype, which we have already studied. Phenotypic ratio is the correct proportion of phenotype in population. Genotypic ratio is the correct proportion of genotype in population. Homozygous, the word homo means same. So the individuals having identical genes in an allelic pair form a character. Example, capital T, small t, small t. Heterozygous, the individuals having unidentical genes in an allelic pair for a character. Example, capital T, small t. That's all for today. In our next video, we will be studying about Punnett square. I hope you all have understood this. Thank you.